Hello, I'm going to introduce you to the Sports Ident Orienteering application. On the main page of the application, you'll see it says Sport Ident Orienteering. Below that is a gray box telling us whether the mini reader or the download station is connected. When I plug it into the mini USB port at the bottom of the tablet, it should light up and go from gray to green and say connecting, then actually SI station connected. We're now ready to read a card and download. On the main page is a list of the events that are on the tablet. If your event isn't on that list, you can create a new event with the large red plus button. If your event is there, you can just tap the event to go to that page. When you're on an event page, it'll have the name of the event at the top and a back arrow. There's also a configuration button, the 3 dots at the top right. You can tap on that to get to some of the settings. The main thing that you might need to use is event setup, and that will let you go back and change some of the configuration of the event. We'll talk about that in the next video. There's 3 pages to each event, and I'll talk about each of those pages in a subsequent video. But they are the registration page, the readout page, and the results page. You can get to either of those by tapping on the particular word or by swiping right or left to get to the different ones. To get back to the main page, you'll go tap the left arrow. You'll notice that it says you need to tap a second time to go back. So you have to tap twice in succession, and then you can go back to the main page. Hi, in this video we're going to create a new orienteering event with the orienteering app. You'll do this from the main homepage of the orienteering app. You're going to tap on the large red plus button to create a new event. To add an event, we'll tap on competition. It'll come up with the event setup screen. So the first thing you need to do is give it an event name. You'll want to do a long tap to select all so that you can delete the existing name and then type in the new name that you want to use for this event. We're just going to call it test and say OK. Then you'll want to set the date, make sure that's correct. And if it's a multi-day event, set the end date as well. But the most important thing here is to check the options. We need to have 4 of the 5 options turned on. It'll be the first option to allow personal reuse, allow the personal data from the SI card. Then the second one to ask for personal data. The 4th option is to assign courses and classes. We want to turn that on. And the 5th option to allow SI card reuse. That's to allow a rental card to be used more than once during the event. We don't want to auto-generate courses and classes. We only want competitors to complete the courses and classes that we defined. You want to check on the competitor database, tap that pick list, and select the Arctic Orienteering database. Then the last thing is the Sports Ident Center. This allows you to publish the results to the web. So it allows for you to export the results and allows for the competitors to see how their standings are on their mobile device. And so you want to tap the link to center button, and it will do a connecting. And then once it's connected, it'll say event successfully connected and give you an event ID number. In order for you to publish the results, though, you have to turn on the publish results option. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. And now the results, as they're generated when people download, will be published to the website. You do not need to tap on the Manage Event button. So that's the event setup. But you need to now define your classes. So tap on the Classes section. And we're going to tap the big red plus button there and create a new class. A class is also known as a course. So we're going to go ahead and select there, delete that class name, and type in one of our classes. So say this is the red course. We're going to type in red. It's going to create a new course. There's not a mass start time for this one. People will start whenever their start time is set by dipping the start thing. You can type in the length if you know it from your course setting software and the climb if you know that. But the most important thing is that you tap on this controls. This is the list of controls that the competitor must visit in order to successfully complete the course. You don't need to put in start or finish. You just need to put in the numbered controls out in the field. So let's say the first control they had to go to was control number 45. And then you type in a semicolon. And then you give it the next control number. So maybe the next control number was 34. and then the next control number after that was, say, 61, etc., until you get to the end of the course, all of them separated by semicolons. You can tap on Done, but when you're actually done, what you really need to do is select checkbox right here, and it will tell you that there's the red course, 4.5 kilometers and 3 controls. If for some reason you need to change it, just tap on it, and you'll go back to the screen and you can edit any part of that at any time. So that's everything you need to do about setting your courses. Of course, you'll have more than just the red course, I'm sure, but that's it. In this video, we'll talk about the registration process. When a competitor arrives at the event, they should be registered in the orienteering app. If the competitor has their own stick, you can ask them to dip it into the mini reader. So make sure that the mini reader is connected. You can check that by going to the readout page, and it'll say ready. You want to make sure you're on the registration page, and then the competitor can just dip their stick into the mini reader, and it will pop up with their information if they're in our club database, and just select the second of the two choices. In this case it's Toby. It'll show his name and which club he's at. You'll want to go ahead and pick the class, which is the course that he'll be running. So ask them. We'll assume he's running red, and then hit the check mark, and he's now registered. If for some reason you want to unregister him and get rid of him, you can tap his name and then hit the delete key. We'll go ahead and do that. If the competitor is renting a stick, when they dip the stick, it'll come up and say rental, whichever rental stick they have. Go ahead and tap on that. It'll come up. You'll want to change the name. So select the first name, back up, and type in their first name. This is handy. Oops. For the printing out of the results and to know who's out there on course. So we've entered in his name. We've picked which course he's going to do, and once we've done that, we hit the check mark, and now he's in the list of competitors. In this video, we'll talk about the readout or download page. You make sure that the middle section, readout, is highlighted. And the first thing to check is whether or not the mini reader or download station is connected. It says no station in gray there. That means our device isn't actually connected. So we'll make sure that it's plugged in through the mini USB at the bottom of the tablet. It said connecting. Now it's green and ready. So it's ready to download. So we ask the competitor to dip their finger stick into the mini reader. And now Toby is finished and he's going to dip. So it said it was reading it. And it says DNF. He didn't actually go out on the course. But that's all there is to it. The printer will print out. You can see here it says printing failed, and that's because the printer's not actually turned on right now. So if that was the case, you could turn the printer on. It should Bluetooth connect. You can tap on their name and then actually print again, and it will print. If somebody shows up, let's go ahead and go back to registration, and we'll delete Toby. So now Toby's not registered. So now we're back to readout. Toby went out on the course without registering, and he comes to the download station and he wants to download. So he dips his stick in there, it reads his card, and it comes up and saying, hey, this stick is not in the registration list. So we're going to register a new competitor. We'll tap there on register a new competitor. It now goes and looks in the database and says, well, that stick is registered to Toby, so we'll provide that as an option. We tap on Toby. It gives us his name. Now, most often, if he's actually completed the course, it will automatically figure out which course he completed by the punches that are on his stick. But in this case, we don't know. So we'll say he says he ran red. We'll go ahead and we'll hit check. And then he'll go ahead and it tells us right there that he is a DNF because he didn't actually complete the red course correctly. But it would have actually printed that out for him. So that's the readout page. So now I'd like to talk about the results page of the orienteering app. At the top, it'll tell us how many of our competitors are registered and how many are finished. In this case, there's 36 finishers out of 37 registered competitors. And it'll give us a list of each of the courses and how many have finished versus how many were registered. At the bottom of this list, we can see the button that says Show Missing Competitors. If we tap on that, it'll give us a list by course as to how many people are still out on the course. So at the end of the evening, we can check to make sure that all of our competitors have come back in and checked in. If we expand by tapping on one of these courses, we'll see a list of all the folks and their finish time in order for a particular course. If we look at orange, we can see everybody, and then we can see down here that John Doe has actually not finished. We don't have a time for him. But otherwise, everybody is in their placement order. Any one of the courses we can print on the Bluetooth printer by just tapping the print, and it'll print out a list of all those competitors for each class. If we want to print all of the classes and all of the competitors, we can just do that. It'll print out on the Bluetooth printer so that we can hang it up at the tent so people could look at it. Otherwise, they can look at the QR code that's printed out if you're doing a live event, and they can go see the results on their own phone. You can also go to the online results on the tablet and show the competitors the standings that way if the tablet's not otherwise in use. But the main thing that you'll do with this button is the export. So at the end of the event, you'll tap on the export. You'll go to this page to manage the event and see the results, and you're going to go ahead and export to an XML file. So you'll tap on that button. It's going to say download file. I'm going to put the results for the distance so XML file in your download folder. Tap on confirm. I'm going to tap cancel because I don't need to save it. You'll also want to do that for the export CSV as UTF-8 and also save that and confirm, and then we'll later on email those to the webmaster. So that is everything you need to know about the results page.